I think we should go ahead and have another song. What do you think?
Sure, another song. Do you want to introduce this one, Somewhere on This Mountain?
Sure. So this next song we're going to share with you, we love singing it right now because it just seems to have a lot of meaning, a lot of coming from a lot of different perspectives. We wrote it before COVID, obviously, but somehow the song seems to make sense right now. For a lot, we wrote it originally as a love song. It's called Somewhere on This Mountain, and it's about two people who sometimes don't feel like they're always, seeing eye to eye. But at least if we're on the mountain together, and then, that was kind of the idea, that like at least if we're in this together, we'll be okay. But during COVID, it was starting to feel like, somewhere on this mountain could mean, we're all separated. We've been all separated from our families and our friends. And so it was like this feeling of like staying connected, looking into each other's eyes, whether it be through Zoom or, just however we can, even no matter where you are in the mountain. And then lastly, I would just say this song to us means, it just feels like the world is so divided right now. There's so many people disagreeing and just really fighting and hating, which is terrible. But this song to us is about just existing on the mountain, on the planet, on the earth, regardless of what you believe. We have to be here together and see each other as, we're trying to do this. We have one life, as far as we know. Maybe we have more, but right now this is the one we're living, and we got to live here together on the earth, the planet, the mountain. Down in the foothills and cast our wishes in the well, I asked for nothing but these endless numbered days. And now I can't see my reflection, and at times can barely tell if it's the river or just me being swept away.
I remember in the clearing, laying backwards in the grass, with the soft touch of twilight setting in. But now I'm all too often running through these days, they quickly pass, and can't tell if it's me that's moving or just the wind. But when I see myself through the mirror of your eyes and hear the canyons in your voice, well, I can feel all the versions of myself coincide as all my scattered pieces are rejoined. So I don't mind the days I'm on the uphill climb, when I'm lost among the mist and the trees, when I lie awake under a lonesome sky, if you're somewhere on this mountain with me. Somewhere on this mountain with me.
Oh, it's always such a battle to be so many things at once, to look ahead and also back to where I've been. Sure, I can put myself together, but I can also come undone. I either give it all I got or just give in. But when I see myself through the mirror of your eyes and hear the canyons in your voice, I can feel all the versions of myself coincide as all my scattered pieces are rejoined. So I don't mind the days I'm on the uphill climb, when I'm lost among the mist and the trees, or when I lie awake under a lonesome sky, if you're somewhere on this mountain with me. Somewhere on this mountain with me.
Well, I guess it's in my nature to push myself up to a place where it's beautiful, but the air is far too thin. And since my good intentions can so often be misplaced, I just wind up off the trail yet again. But when I see myself through the mirror of your eyes, I hear the canyons in your voice. I can feel all the versions of myself coincide as all my scattered pieces are rejoined. So I don't mind the days I'm on the uphill climb, when I'm lost among the mist and the trees, when I lie awake under a lonesome sky. If you're somewhere on this mountain with me,
somewhere on this mountain with me,
somewhere on this mountain with me. Ooh, ooh,
Nice. Nefesh Mountain on WNCW live in Studio B, playing songs from Songs for the Sparrows, their new record, and touring about now as a family.
As a family.
Which seems like a big deal. Obviously, restarting after COVID is always something to get used to or to find a gear somehow or another.
Totally,
but now
yeah.
with child, it's got to be even extra challenging.
It is challenging for
dream
sure,
come
but it
true.
is a total dream
Right.
come true, and we're just so super grateful to have
Yeah.
this like miracle. Just, you know, everyone's baby is a miracle to them, and to us it's no different. She's a true blessing.
She's 3
Her name is
months.
Willow.
Yeah. 13 weeks. And yeah,
Wow.
she's got little headphones. She was at her Merle Fest. I mean, she's really awesome, and the band is just—they're all her uncles, and it's just one big family. So we're really
Traveling
grateful.
circus, man.
Yeah, so I guess you're gauging Willow's reaction to live music. You're probably trying to figure out if she's got the gene or...
Yeah, we did a ton of Zoom concerts actually during COVID, over 100, 200
We
Zoom
did
concerts.
so many Zoom concerts.
While Donnie was pregnant.
Yeah.
And our tour nanny, Rose, was telling us that while we were playing one of our songs, Essa Enai, which we did many times in Zoom while she was in the womb, she started kicking, like, at
So-
Merlefest. So, like, something was going on.
Oh.
Hopefully she's a bluegrass fan. We'll see.
All right. Yes. Well, we'll have to keep track of this.
Right.
We'll check back in with you.
Yeah.
You talk about representing Jewish American culture, tradition, values, and spirituality in the world of American roots music. Now, that's a lot. Can you help us unpack this?
So, our music is not your normal. I guess there's some, so far we haven't played any songs on this show yet with Hebrew, but we do have Hebrew in our lyrics, and our inspiration comes from our Jewish background. Sometimes it's just a story that that we told from our families. Sometimes it's coming from a prayer, but for the most part, it's just it's our way of connecting our Jewish identities and our deep love for this style music.
Yeah. And I was talking earlier about how we're from the Northeast, and but we've been exposed to and love, just huge lovers of bluegrass music as long as I can remember, for me. And one of the things that I noticed as a kid growing up in Brooklyn was how much, first of all, I loved and adored this music, and personally identified with it as if it was like part of my heart or something. But also going back and listening to really the roots of it, Stanley Brothers and Flatt and Scruggs and Bill Monroe, all my favorites. How many gospel songs there are, and how much as a Jewish kid I was like, well, maybe I don't do I not belong playing this? Am I not supposed to? Would it be appropriation? But over the years, bluegrass has just widened and widened and widened and widened, and I think made room with the help from me of a lot of the folks that we've gotten to collaborate with, like Sam Bush and Jerry Douglas and like John Hartford, starting all these new ways of approaching this music that we love. And of course, that was even in the 70s and 80s. And nowadays, there's so many different kinds of people from all walks of life playing bluegrass. So this feels like the right time to add this what for us is a very honest representation of who we are, where our families came from, and, the kind of things that we think about and love. And, the two songs we played so far, Wanderlust, that was inspired by actually this ancient Jewish prayer called the Traveler's Prayer. But at the same time, we wanted to write also like for us, it means something because it is part of our Jewish identity, but it's a secular traveling, going down the highway kind of, tune. And that last one, Somewhere on This Mountain, is a folk Americana song that we wanted to write that for us, we do feel spiritual about, and we do want to kind of collect these tunes about unity and all that. So, the Judaism is in there. The Jewishness in us is always thread through the music, but we take a lot of care to be delicate with it. We don't want to feel like we're preaching anything.
No, we're not preaching. We're not trying to push religion on anyone. This isn't about religion at all. It's just about our spirit, our being ourselves, and our culture, and trying to share that with the world in a very loving. I think we're all about inclusivity. So we want everyone to be themselves, and if this is who we are, then we hope that everyone will kind of go with it.
So here in Western North Carolina, we're pretty much at ground zero for all things bluegrass, old-time music. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people commonly know the Scotch-Irish, English, the ballads, all of that influence in what became bluegrass and old-time music. And when you start to study it, you quickly figure out, okay, so the banjo coming from Africa, all of these styles, black fiddle players. You start to learn about how Native American musical influence worked its way into all of this music as well. Can you help us find some of the Jewish American traditions and where they're present?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, Jews, as far as we know, have been living here stateside since the 1600s. And we're only now, like you said, realizing we've known about the Scots-Irish tradition, but with the help of like pioneers like Rhiannon Giddens, who's been able to fully unearth many things that have been hidden from history books, all these we're learning now the first big string bands were black string bands. And there was so much appropriation on both sides of the fence, but mostly from the white string bands that were taking this music. And, this checkered past is a part of the kind of soul of America. But at the same time, you have, the proof is in the pudding. Like the music that we love, the sound of the mountains, the sound of banjos and fiddles, these kind of old Appalachian-style harmonies with the syncopations of the banjo and all that. The idea of bluegrass and old-time music is a beautiful thing, even though it came from this terrible time for this country. So, and I think everyone nowadays just wants to carry on the tradition of the sound of the music, not necessarily, of course, the history that came with it, but just the sound of trying to appreciate everyone that did make this music before us. Hope I'm answering your question.
And I think that the music has so many different cultures in it. And I think that us adding ours in our version, is kind of, it goes along with the story of this style of music. It kind of makes sense. And also, a lot of people immediately think, oh, Jewish music, klezmer music. And that's because a lot of Jews the Jews were living in Eastern Europe at that time. Some of our great-great-grandparents came from that part of the world. We went on a trip to visit them there. But we're American, and our parents are American, and their parents were American, and then the next generation came from Eastern Europe. So we've been here for many generations. This is our country. We are American, we're Americans. And so this music and this we grew up with this. This is us.
I think we have the unique perspective as Jews, as Jewish people, to be these traveling nomads, part of this great diaspora. And there's Jewish music from all over the world, great Sephardic Jewish music, great, Ladino Jewish music. And, of course, there's the music of Eastern Europe, there's music from Israel. But here, I think we find ourselves with a lot of questions. And I think our music doesn't even pretend to answer any of them because we have no answers. But it's our own answer. It's like, what do we do with all this? What do we do as Jewish Americans? Who am I? If I took a DNA test, it would tell me you're Jewish. Like, forget about if I go to synagogue or not. Like, it tells me that. And I think part of this, us making this music, is figuring out how to be both sides of ourselves, how to be really Jewish in our, my grandparents and their traditions, everything that we are, the food that we eat, the culture, the holidays, and our American selves that love and adore this music that hopefully we're doing right by. And you're right, we're at ground zero for bluegrass. I mean, Asheville and the hills out here and all these, North Carolina itself is just so much history that we want to respect.
Yeah,
and if
we want
I
to respect it so much.
if we don't, ever, and if we cross the line to the purists, then I don't ever intend to do that, because it's something that we do love.
No, I think you're in no danger of that, honestly. From listening to the records and seeing all of the folks that want to play on your records, I mean, if that's any kind of sign.
There has been so much love from those guys, just really encouraging us and making us feel so welcome. We're like crying in the studio with gratitude that there's been such an embracing of, we didn't know what was going to happen when we came out with this music, and we're just trying to be honest. That's really that's what we're trying to do. And we're just really grateful that those guys all were like, we love you guys, you're totally, Nefesh, and asking us about what the Hebrew means and what, and really our songs are for everyone. The songs are meant to just spread love, and we're really hippies, so it's about love, peace and love, and that's what every little, literally that's what we're about, trying to put more love out.